our speech and pour forth upon our lips the goodness of your blessing. Grant to us keenness of mind, capacity to remember, skill in learning, subtlety to interpret, and eloquence in speech. May you guide the beginning of our work, direct its progress, and bring it to completion. You who are true God and true man, who live and reign, world without end. Amen.
Amen.
Maybe you want the table over here real quick. See if we walk back.
So, we were in the chapter 2, almost at the end of the last para, that is, boy Jesus was lost and found in the temple. No, that we were something talking about those. What are the things, just for our reflection, can we take some conclusions? So, what are the lessons from the temple incident? I think the first thing what we can, Jesus respected, the entire family respected the Jewish traditions, all the Jewish traditions. We can see in his life all the traditions of the Jewish tribe, he was keeping with. They were a very devout Jewish family, and Jesus' mother and father, they followed everything. So he was presented to the temple, then accordingly there was the offering to the temple. Then now they were going maybe every year to the temple, and at the age of 12 this incident happens. So first of all, I think what we can learn from this is sometimes some people have a wrong idea. The traditions and customs and traditions, institutions are against spirituality sometimes. So what we call, there are people, there is a big movement is going on. I think you are all aware of it. A very, very strong section of the society is now having this idea that I believe in God, I practice what's called spirituality, but I don't belong to any organized religion. There is a very strong movement going on. Are you a Christian? No, I'm not a Christian. Are you a Hindu? No, I'm not a Hindu. Then what are you? I believe in God. I don't go to the church. I pray, but I don't belong to any religion. And there is, it's more, strength is becoming more and more. And those people who claim to be elite, liberals, they all belong to this group. But we can say that, spirituality versus religion. And they consider, when you consider spirituality, it embraces everyone and everything. But religion, a small section. So they want to be global. They want to be universal. So they don't want to define God as Christian or Muslim or Hindu, anything. No. God is something that a power I adore or I belong to, and I don't want to be a part of any religion. And they advocate it as something, something modern, special. You can see so many people. So here is the, when some people do not attend the church, don't think they are not spiritual. They are. Most of them are. Atheists are very few. You know that. Atheists are very few. But they don't want to be part of a religion. And maybe because of their kind of what's called thinking pattern. But mostly because of their convenience. No? It's because they don't want to go, they can just have what they believe, they practice what they believe, that's all. And they want to have a rationality behind it, that's why they call it spirituality. So, they don't belong. And for example, when you belong to a church, it is controlled by many customs and traditions and authorities and everything, no? There are things which you are not supposed to do. And there are things which are demanded of us to do. And in what these people say, spirituality, there is nothing, that, yeah?
A lot of people say, and you might want to pass this on, I don't get anything out of it. Well, if you don't put something into it, how are you going to get something out of it?
Yeah, that's true. Everything is like that, Whenever, the Christmas is coming, some people say, I don't write a Christmas card, to anyone who do not send a Christmas card to me. No? So,
There's a lot on postage that way.
so I expect that Joe write a Christmas card for me, so that, okay, if he writes to me, I write back. And if Joe thinks like that, then who is going to write a Christmas card? So that's the same thing about love, no? If you love me, I love you. What is the speciality of it?
What goes first?
But even here, I think there is a good point of discussion and reflection. A little deeper reflection is, why do we pray?
To talk to God.
Is it for God? No. It's for me. Does God need our prayer? Does God need our adoration? No, not at all.
He likes it.
Yeah, that's a different thing. It's for
Us.
prayer. It's entirely for us or for me personally. If I don't pray, I lose. It's not anything for whenever a priest say, okay, you pray. Is it for him? No. So that's the thing, if you look at things like that, it's all about me, I'm investing. If you invest love, you get back. If you invest spirituality, you get back. If you don't invest, you don't get anything. That's why, when I come to the church, and then I don't get anything back, so it's because you don't invest. So here is, and customs and traditions are, those things which lead us to this investment. For example, the Sunday Mass. We can say it's a tradition of the church having Sunday Mass. And it's an occasion to come to the church and invest ourselves to the spirituality and get out of it something, no? If you don't have that custom, then there is no more, coming together and praying. That's in Hindu religion, there is no such custom. I noticed, because I come from a overwhelmingly a Hindu religious tradition, but they have, they have a tradition in the sense they have fixed time for, adoration thing, but there is no a social event in prayer. They don't pray together. That means the priest in the temple performs some rituals and the people come and participate by themselves. There is no singing, there is no chanting, there is no prayer together, there is no ritual together. The priest does something and people from outside, they just say and pray and go. But outside the temple there are so many things for them, of course. In temple, it's a place of silence for them. It's a complete silence. Just people come and, pray and go. we have something together. So I was talking, just thinking about and talking to you about the customs and traditions. It's needed. It's needed. But if we don't invest and just see it from outside, it is just something empty. It is just empty. No? Yeah.
I'm a little, I don't know, I guess I want to challenge when you said, does God get anything out of this? Because Ed said the same thing. If you don't put anything, you're not going to get anything out of it. But I think God responds to us.
That's true.
But that's what I say. If God is pleased, isn't God getting anything from our request, our concerns, our ability to communicate with Him? Much like Moses did just before, God says, I'm going to destroy your people because, they created the golden calf. They're out there doing anything. And Moses spoke to God and he says, don't destroy them. I mean, those are your people. And it seems like there can be an exchange between God and man, and so we establish that relationship. So I think God gets out of us a relationship.
That's, I think, we are thinking in two realms, I think. That is, when I said, God in a, what's called the power of the universe,
Right.
As an impersonal God, it doesn't touch anything, with Him. So, for example, of course, God, that's why God wants us this kind of, relationship. And if we say God is getting something, and therefore He wants these things, there is something we are putting something, what's called, is kind of a powerful God means, there is something limiting God's idea. But with relation to, our relation with God, in that realm, when we think there is something, that's all. Everything, whatever, what we write. See, the whole Bible is written man's spirituality. It's in relation with God. So, without man, there is nothing here. So, it is on the perspective of man and his relation with God that is written. So, that means if we don't pray, of course, that means, God is not going to lose anything. Or if we pray, God is not going to get anything. But He likes relationship. That's the thing. That's why He is asking for, or He is pleasing with that kind of end, what we call in literary thing, this is seeing God as what we call anthropomorphism, no? Seeing God as another person. And there are people who consider God not as a person, just what's called energy, energy. So it's nothing related with man or anything. It's an energy that pervades everywhere that we call God. There are different views on this thing. So I think, I don't know whether, that's a philosophical question. That is a very deeper, another realm of thinking. This is what I just wanted to say, it's in our relationship. And who is getting more, at least? It's we.
I support what you're saying, because I think that's a human nature to try to figure God out. We're the ones with questions. God's
Yes.
all-knowing. So one side has all-knowing and one side has questions, so we try to rationalize God. And
So,
in reality, God already knows He made you, so He already knows the outcome on it. I mean, the journey is your journey, not God's journey.
Yes, that's true.
God's journey is already been done because He made you, or else He wouldn't have made you for whatever purpose He's supposed to do.
Well, for lack of a better term, is the people with the liberal mindset that they look at organized religion, they look at the rituals, they look at these things as if the organized religion, the mechanics of the organized religion, is the sum total of the religion.
Yeah, that's the truth, yeah.
Reject that. Unfortunately, the flip side of that coin is people who are in the organized religion who think that the mechanics and the rituals are the sum total of the religion and don't invest, like you said, they don't invest in it. You know, so even though they're in an organized religion, they're really not benefiting from it.
That's true. There are so many.
That's the flip side of it.
Yes.
They don't have a spirituality, you know.
There are, people. So here is the problem with the organized religion. People, having, not having a deeper faith. For example, if I go there and pray, God works wonders. And if God doesn't work wonders, I'm going not anymore. No?
But isn't this what Jesus was always after the Pharisees and the priests, that they were so tied up in the mechanics that they forgot the relationship?
Yeah, here, again, to judge other people is very, very difficult. For example, when I go to the church, I ask for this and this and this and that, and God doesn't permit it. And one day I say, I don't come anymore. That's not that he is going away from God or church, but it is his reaction, and that's a very genuine reaction. And to react like that, there's no problem, because see, even the prophets, for example, Prophet Jeremiah, when he was persecuted by people, one day he had an argument with God. And he was talking to him, why did you create me? And he was talking like this, the womb that bore me be cursed. The time that, when I was really, the time when I was born be cursed. Like that, he was cursing. Not that he was, exactly cursing anything, all these things, but he was having, this much of what's called, I don't say depression, what it's called, distress. That he was arguing with God, and after all this, God says, okay, you go and preach again. And he goes. This is a genuine relationship.
You needed to bend.
Yeah, that we have to do it. For example, as human beings, when we are mad at our how many times did we do that with our parents? Sometimes, we asked for something and they did not grant it, Did you go for a hunger strike? Yes, many times. We did that. A special privilege, we asked. And especially in our society, the parents have, very good, very strong involvement in, and not only even punishing. There is no problem if a child is doing something wrong, take a stick and give it 2 beatings. There's no problem. There's no police is going to come and then take you to the jail. No. And
let's turn against God or away from God when things don't go our way too.
Usually most of the people don't go like that. It's a reaction mostly. But for some time they don't come to the church because of the rebellion. We can feel in the heart. That's a kind of a normal reaction for a person to be. But if he is, really don't believe in God, that's a different thing and a different question.
It really is, but again, there's a point. There is no there's no way of being rational, because they get to a certain point. I mean, academically they'll work.
Yes.
They'll discuss, but when it comes to religiosity, boom, they cut you off. And so it's just no. I want to listen to that. And so there's no rationale. So that point of trying to discuss something that you believe in for them is no.
Yeah. There are they are shut.
But look at the other side of the Christian. The Christian is willing to listen to academic, willing to listen to religion, and then they become very creative. Their mind works in a different way. And I tell kids this even in CCD, that your mind becomes open. The minute you stop believing in God and start putting it on one side, you can't even reach the ceiling. You progress to yourself to a certain point that you just stop.
I think most of the problem with the kids, I think, when they are in the high school, our human mind has, I think, a mechanism, in the sense, the methodology, I always insisted that, the methodology of religion, methodology of human science, they are totally different. One is, I would say, when, especially the kids in the high schools, mostly they are already developing, their mechanism of thinking. And it is easier for everyone to think. For example, what is easier to think and find out applying this methodology? For example, let us say, take this case. I searched for a truth and searched. Finally, I found out a truth and accept it and embrace it. Okay? That is the methodology applied in all the human sciences. What is the methodology of the human sciences? That is experimentation, verification, and again experimentation. No? That goes like that, no? Then at last we find out the truth. And I know, because there is the rationality behind it, and I accept it. And that is very easy to accept for a human mind. No? But the methodology of religion or faith is totally different. That means we accept this way. God has revealed it and accept it. I accept it. Whether it is understandable to me, to my mind or not. Then I try to understand it. And there comes the problem with the kids. Because how can I accept it, what I don't understand?
Exactly.
Don't you think a lot of the time, though, the parents don't set the example?
That's another thing, but with the mind, human idea of methodology, what I'm speaking about it. So, God says, I am Trinity. I don't understand that. I don't have proofs for that. Then how can I understand and accept it? That's why we have to insist more, in rational level when we teach these things. This methodology is very important. Why? It has rationality behind. Why? How? For example, God is the omnipotence, omniscience, the knowledge of everything. And He says, I am this. And He is beyond our human rationality. And what He says is truth. No? That basic attitude, if one doesn't have, then it is going to be really difficult. Then, because of that, I accept it. And then I try to understand with my limited human resources. Then I accept. So, for the kids, because they start thinking, and their thinking is not in a level of maturity, so they are mostly, prone to think in the human way. That is, I go, search, find out, and believe. And in religion, it's not working. Will not work it. And therefore, and what is going on in the colleges and the schools, people who wanted to, foster only insisting what we call rationalism, and that is the only thing, reality. So they despise religion because it is not founded on rationality. So for the kids, it is easier to believe and accept it. That's why they take that. They embrace it, most of them. And then how? Then afterwards, you see, after they are married, they have tried every possibilities of success on this and that life, and at last found out from their experience that all these things are not going to work. So they start coming back. Yes, but when we were kids, when they were teaching us, now I understand. I come back and submit myself. That's why almost like in 40s, people come back to the church.
And here we are.
I don't think so. People are 40s here. Yes.
I'm kind of going through an episode with one of my sons who's getting very heavy into math and science and everything. He made his mother cry one weekend by asking who created God. And so I waited a couple days and I said, I need to talk to you. He goes, I know what this is about. And I'm glad you're talking to me because Mom can't handle it. So we talked about it a little bit. I asked him to define God, and he told me his definition. I said, well, your God's too small. You made him too small. But about a week or so went by, and he came home. He was talking about his physics class, and they were studying the properties of energy. And I said, well, what's the first principle of energy? He said, well, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only transformed. Okay. I said, you believe that? Well, of course, that's what all our science is based on. I said, okay. Energy can't be created, right? Yes. It can't be destroyed, yes. So you're saying energy has no beginning and it has no end. Is that right? Well, yeah. Well, then who created energy? If it's there and it has no beginning and has no end, don't you realize that no beginning and no end is the definition of God? And I said, well, so who created energy? What is it? Well, I'm sure someday we'll figure it out. The other thing I love to hit people who are in the sciences, look at our electrified world. Electricity is generated with electromagnetism. Go to the dictionary and look up the word magnetism. It is described as a phenomenon. A phenomena is something beyond explanation. They don't know what magnetism is. It is a force measured in lines of flux. Whatever that is. I mean, they don't know what it is.
And it's all over inside us also. Everything.
Yeah, they don't know what magnetism is. Other than it's a force. You see evidence of it, but you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't feel it, but you see evidence of it. But it's not an energy, it's not a particle, it's a force. What is that? But it's defined as a phenomenon.
So,
But even those phenomena in themselves is what you're displaying is that relationship that we're having with our family, because if you're not having that relationship with your son, you're still not connecting in that capacity of a person of religion, as much like you say, Parents can be failures too, but I constantly have to remind my son and my daughter of who they are, and I just had a new grandbaby, and we're already bringing her up in the religion. We call her every morning, we pray for her and everything else, but it's much like Ed said, we have to set that example.
Yeah.
And still
Sure.
teach. We never stop teaching. I mean, it continues on. My kids are married and doing their own lives, but we still evangelize to them.
that's why, sometimes, when maybe in a very late age, we get that aha moment of understanding God. Oh, this is. That's not anything from with the head, but it is with the heart.
Hey, Father, I think you successfully actually touched on a very important thing as far as, I think you've actually proved why religion and tradition are important. I mean, you're covering this, but you're actually, I think people overthink. This is not life. We don't value life enough, and then we put too much emphasis on life. The thing starts with God and it ends with God, and we want to make it a commune thing, but the actual journey is a personal journey where you, like you mentioned right now, you try and try and try, and you eventually learn to relinquish. You try and try and try, and you eventually learn to relinquish. You learn that, and there are some tools that you are not going to get. I mean, if you rely on if we rely on our capacity to try to explain God to your kid or to yourself, you will fail. If you go to church and you use all the tools, the sacraments, the traditions, and you center it around God, then the likelihood to increase your relinquishment to God is increased exponentially, you know? And that is, I think you're covering like really right now, like why it is important, why you cannot base this on yourself, you know? Why is it important to be part of tradition? Why is it important to be? I mean, if we're gonna try to rationalize it, we can try to rationalize it all day long, but the end of the answer is going to go back to God.
Yes.
It's going to go back to Him. You know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. I think we were, discussing enough about, just traditions. That's one more thing, just to see, That's why in every religion, the experience of God is always explained in symbolism. We cannot describe God experience in direct language. No, it's a kind of a symbolism. It's everywhere. It's a kind of symbolism because it is too profound that we cannot simply, and not only that, my experience with God is maybe different, than your experience of God. Therefore, it is always, and symbol is a mystery, It's a mystery. For example, just take our flag. What is it? When you consider just, it's a piece of linen, no? Cloth. A cloth. It's simple cloth. But when it symbolizes the nation, really, when you think in terms of its value, what's after all? Nothing, no? It's a piece of cloth, maybe even less than $1. But when it symbolizes the United States, then it has, it's different, no? It's different.
If you burn it, I'll put you in prison.
Yes, yes, yeah, without doubt.
Even though that violates the First Amendment, but no problem.
But that's the case with every nation, no? So, for example, I'm not an American citizen, No, I'm not. I just came,
Not yet, he's visiting.
Not yet, yeah. And not visiting, but, working. But if I take the flag and I trample on it, it's going to be something very serious, no?
Big problem, right?
Because I am, as not an American citizen, staying here in this country, trampling it, that is equivalent to, what's called dishonoring the whole country. What's after all, if you think this is a piece of cloth? No, I'm not playing with a piece of cloth. I'm dealing with a nation. And that is the mystery of symbolism. That's how God's language is. It's all symbolic mystery. That's why in the Mass there are so many things, It's all mysterious, what we call mystery. When we take the bread, there is nothing there. It's a piece of bread, but it symbolizes God's presence. So that's why, customs and traditions always, connected with symbolic objects and symbolic language too, even. Symbolic language. Okay. Then second thing I just want to see is say, God, about Jesus. He was lost. When he was lost, the Mary and Joseph, they began to search everywhere with the people almost one day forward, then searching for another day, and the third day they found in the temple. So a very spiritual understanding I'm talking today, if you want to see God, go to church. No? If you want to see God, go to the church, not anywhere. Or At least the primary place of searching God is the church, the temple. Yeah, symbolic, no? Yeah, we found him in the temple. So if you want to search God, go there. So there are people, that's an answer to many people, I believe only in philanthropology, no? Or philanthropism, no? What do you mean by philanthropism? Just humanitarian things, and I see everything there. Not only that. But what I want to say, insist, that is very important, and usually people don't say that, why Jesus was found missing. Did you think about it? Okay, or it's symbolic language or in God's plan, everything, let it go. But a human way of speaking now, why Joseph and Mary, could not find Jesus?
Because he wasn't with them. They realized it. Where's our child? I mean, they claimed him as their own, which, when they finally found him, he says...
Yeah, that could be. What I was thinking, there was a lack of communication. No?
I need to be about my Father's business. That's my priority.
Yeah, that is,
I don't have time for your house, Mom and Dad.
Exactly.
That is a very, okay, that's no problem. I want to just say one thing very important in our life, because Joseph and Mary, this may seem to be, is this Mary and Joseph a little bit in attributing something wrong? No. Somewhere or other, they took it for granted. Mary thought, it was a custom for them, the women got together and Joseph, men got together and they meet each other maybe after some stipulated time and space. So they practiced it. They did not verify when they left the temple. And there was at least some kind of a human error, a kind of a miscommunication. Mary took it for granted he would be with Joseph. And Joseph, the same way, took it for granted that he would be with Mary. And what is happening in our family, this lack of communication, more things are happening because of that. A little lack of communication, for them made, lost their 3 days. Their treasure. Of course, they could find out. That's true. But what is our problem? Once we lost, we are not trying to find it out. Most of our problem in the family, between the husband and wife, between children and the parents, are because of lack of communication. A misunderstanding. About communication, when we say, there was a class and I attended about communication, at least only, I think 30 to 35% only communicated through verbal communication. Our body communication, even communicating without communication, no? Silence. For example, the most powerful communication of anger is silence, no? Yes. If you are in problem with your wife, what does your wife say?
Don't talk to me.
Don't talk to you. and okay, sometimes we understand that after some time that silence becomes horrible, no?
Well, Father, it'll be a blessing too.
But that a blessing will be for some time. Only for some time. But after that, it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt you so much. At last you will say, please tell me one word. will tell that.
But not the one you're thinking.
And
Don't say another word.
and then after some time a word comes and that destroys everything. Again.
You know, when my grandfather turned 70, he had a physical, and the doctor said that he had a body of a 50-year-old man. He wanted to know what he did to stay so fit. My grandfather said, well, the whole secret is to avoid stress. And when he got married, his wife and he had made an agreement that if he started a fight, she'd take a walk till he cooled down, and if she started a fight, he'd go take a walk until she cooled down. He said, you know, 30 years of walking in the open air does wonders for
Changing back the conversation. Did Jesus always knew who he was?
Sure.
Always. As soon as he got, because remember, he was a human. So as he started growing up, this is 12 years old. He knew who he was.
So sure.
He knew it all the time.
That's why, you know, well, you know, here is the problem, you know, how much he knew, how much he did not knew. We are not able to say. In what we can say, in category of human way, he was not knowing, maybe because as a child of 1 year, what kind of knowledge he has. But at the same time, as God incarnate, no, as omniscient God, he knew everything. So how to balance between these two, we don't know. That's a problem.
There's actually a story in the Quran about Jesus finding a young Jesus finding a dead bird and bringing it back to life.
Yeah, we have, let's say, you know, in apocryphal books, you know, there are so many stories. There was I think the Gospel of Mary says a story about Jesus, you know, kids were playing together, and one child, you know, ran over Jesus and dashed him. So Jesus was angry and just said, okay, you will not finish your course. He was running the course, no? And he dashed in between Jesus. And then Jesus was just proclaiming this word, you know, you will not finish your course. Immediately that child died. That was these kind of stories were made up because why? Because in order to show that Jesus was divine. And from the very beginning, he had possessed that power. But you see, the problem is, will we be, you know, comfortable with that figure of Jesus, that, you know, a little boy dashing without knowing that, and Jesus knowing everything, talking, you will not reach the course?
He will not get angry.
He won't get angry. And that was an exaggerated story in order to show that Jesus was divine. That's why church did not accept that book as inspired gospel, because it was against, or it was contrary to the historical truths.
He will forgive him.
That's only story. Yeah, there's a...
I wanted to also point out the importance of the symbolism of Jesus being found in the temple, of seeking God.
Yeah.
I mean, and he does this throughout the Bible all the time. And yes, he's divine, like you mentioned, he's divine, you know. But where he could have been found anywhere. Where was he found? He was found in the temple, seeking God, seeking, you know. And I think that's a real important.
Yeah, that's go. Yeah, seek, and he will be found in the temple. So that's why the importance of temple is mentioned there. You know, okay, there are so many. You know, our beautiful thoughts could be, you know, generated. That's good. You know, that's where how we try to interpret Bible. These are, you know, this is some of the clues we are just discussing how to interpret. You know, spiritually interpret Bible. Okay, then another one thing, a third point I just want to say. When Jesus found in the temple, Mary was talking, "What are you doing here?" And see the words construction there, your father and me were searching for you last 3 days. So Mary was somewhere or other accepting Joseph as his father, no? And giving him the importance of Jewish tradition. According to Jewish tradition, the patriarch of the family is the father. And he is the first one. So it's always referred to him first. So Mary, even though Mary knew that he was not biologically related with Joseph, but she gives that place of fatherhood in order to underline the custom of the place, or at least in humility, Mary was accepting Joseph as the one. No, let's say if we can find out the spiritual way of thinking that if we are feeling and accepting and embracing our own roles in the family, in the society, then that family will be very happy and very harmonious.
And that's so true, because my wife and I, we've been doing marriage ministry since 1991, and the biggest factor that we find in a lot of couples is that, one, they've taken themselves away from church. So, and then from there was a lack of communication that actually is destroying the relationship between the couples, and so those two factors. Once they come to realize that they need to get back to church and get to talking to each other, really solidifies a relationship that a couple can have with each other and with God. And so we find a lot of couples, and I could tell you stories of people almost in the brink of divorce. I mean, extremely angry with each other, wanting to get, and all of a sudden when they come back, it was just like it's a new relation, reborn, and it's incredible to me how that connection, when they come back, it reformulates that relationship, not only with each other, but the relationship with the church. And it's incredible to me, and it's probably the most satisfying thing that we get out of this when we see that happen, because we don't encourage people to come to our retreats because we want to fix their marriage. We want to fix their relationship with God.
See, one thing, with the communication, man is what's called a person who needs always communication. If you don't have a good communication with your partner, life partner, you should have something to communicate. You should have. So people will seek something else for communication. That's why.
I'm going to give me a new partner.
So end up in a new partnership,
The internet.
or internet, or anything, because we are people who are communicating. We need that, and if you don't communicate with your partner, we need to have somebody or something. So computer world is becoming more a person. Dependence, on internet and those things. Even in internet, what are people doing with Facebook? What they are trying to do is communicating.
I was at a restaurant just the other day. Mother and father and children. They were all on their little computers or cell phones. They weren't talking to each other. They were just into their phones. No conversation. Very sad.
Father Nicolau had always had a lady who helped him with his dogs and all that. And many of the times they would go and have lunch together. And one day they were having lunch and he says, "Women, talk to me. People are going to think that we're married." It's true. My wife we were having breakfast the other day.
that's a beautiful, irony. No? That's a beautiful irony, no? He is realizing, So, I want to give, I watched yesterday a beautiful WhatsApp video. Very interesting. Why do we use this finger for our marriage ring?
Directly to the heart.
Or left and right, Just, I am going to give an exercise. It's very simple. So, just, fold your hand. So, let us, take this as a, this is our relationship, The first relationship what we have is with our father, parents. The second relationship is what? His siblings, And the third relationship we are going to have is our, our life partner, And after that comes, that is our life partner, And the last thing is in our family life, what I'm talking. In our family life, parents, siblings, then husband and wife, and then our children. Okay? This is our... so, I'm going to give the exercise is that, this finger, please put this finger like this. This finger. Not that. Just... Or put everything, all fingers together. It's very simple. Put all other things like this, just say. Now, just the middle finger. The middle finger. Okay? Just, this is the exercise. Can you open the first finger? Yes. No? Try to open? Yes. Second? Yes.
Third.
The third? And the fourth one? Yes. See, when you get married, okay, this is our, after you get married, you find out your life partner. You, in some point, you are going to leave your parents, It's get apart. Your siblings, yes. And your children, yes. But your life partner, try.
Impossible.
It's getting hard.
It is because of that we are wearing our wedding rings on that finger. That is the explanation of the Chinese.
If you don't wear a ring, if you don't wear a ring,
No, it's only this is our just an explanation. That's all. So, but it's powerful, no? We are going to lose somewhere or other our parents, our siblings, and our kids. They will leave us, sure, no? But cannot leave our life partner.
That's why some people go from one partner to another partner to another partner.
That is,
Problem.
then it's not a life partner. It is not a life partner. It's only simple partners. If it is a life partner, you cannot leave. That's why, we have partners. You can leave any time. When it is not a life partner. So, some of the other things, the fourth thing, proclamation, relation with God, proclamation. Don't you know that I and Father are one and I want to be in His business? So that was, Jesus was conscious and was telling his biological father, mother and stepfather that I am. So it comes, the first business and the last thing, Jesus was talking, I was engaged in the Father's business. So, if everyone does his own real business, that would be the best thing what we can do. We go more for other business. That is life. So this is something. When Jesus was found in the temple, these are some of our thoughts. It's okay? And I'm just, because it's time for, that's why I don't elaborate. At least, that is the fourth thing what I said, he was proclaiming his relationship. That's a very theologically deep question, how he is related with God. He is there, we can discuss about, he is fully God and fully man. Is a incarnation of God and things like that. There, we can discuss about it. They are very, profoundly theological discussions. We do not go. I think we have already seen some of them. The first classes, what about, the Father, the incarnation, fully God and fully man. So it was in the Arian controversy, we have already discussed the Nicene Council. And in the Chalcedon Council, he was proclaimed as fully God and fully man. Two natures in one person. And again, in the Council of Ephesus, he was proclaimed as fully God and fully man, and united in a unique way that made Mary called, Mother of God. So these are the very profound theological thinkings and connected with these things. Okay? So with that, the next day we will start with the chapter 3. So at least we are slowly moving faster, no?
Father, do you think we'll be here next Saturday or take?
Okay. So we shall have an off day, no? The next Saturday after, many of maybe out of town and doing things with that, because next Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, Friday, a long weekend, I think, and Saturday will be gone. So 4 days we are getting. Most.
4-day weekend, right?
Most of the people.
Yeah.
So, and therefore, when we have class, maybe very, very few. What do you think about? Okay?
Sure.
Next
So Saturday after.
Saturday, after Thanksgiving, that means the coming Saturday won't be a break week.
2 weeks from today. Okay, Father. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Eh?
Have a good
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. I think we are going to have the next Sunday here, no? The Thanksgiving meal. Tomorrow. Not tomorrow, next, this coming tomorrow.
Or after the 12 o'clock mass.
Yeah. I'll try to come.
Right.
Celebration.